We thank Allah because in the presence of Christ, in the presence of the Messiah, we have that knowledge, we have that information, we have that history and the science and the purpose why God permitted it, so that we may act in accord and understand what our struggle is today and what we are to do. This began, and we thank Allah for revealing it to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It came about not the oneness of humanity, but people who called themselves Christians, Europeans with a Bible in their hand, came out of Europe behind Christopher Columbus, who was born in Southeast Europe, in what is called Italy, looking for a way east by sailing west. They came out of Spain, out of Portugal, France, and England, amongst other nations. They came out not with the idea of Jesus to make all one, but they came out with the backing and the blessing of the Pope. They came with a cross, not as a symbol of salvation, but as an emblem of conquest of the people who they found here and everywhere else they went on the planet. They came with this sign, and they conquered us in the sign. Not just the physical sign of the cross, but the idea behind the cross, which was the idea that white people, because of their skin color, were duty-bound and blessed by God to be lords over the people that they found. It was blessed by the Pope. These people, they didn't come and find Indians and say, let us make them one in Christ. They didn't go into Africa and say, look at these beautiful human beings, let's make them one in Christ. No. The people that they discovered, quote unquote, in the West, they labeled them as barbarous. They felt God had given them, as Christians so-called, as Caucasians, the right to rule them and to take the land and have dominance wherever they landed. This philosophy was expounded by the Pope himself, who in the papal bulls issued by Pope Alexander VI on May the 4th, 1493, less than a year after Columbus first stepped foot in the West, in what they called the New World. The bull stated from the Pope that any land inhabited or not inhabited by Christians was available to be discovered. Now listen to that. They're acknowledging that land is inhabited, but if it's not inhabited by Christians, then it was available to be discovered. How can you discover something that someone already possesses? They claimed and they exploited by Christian rulers and declared that the Catholic faith and the Christian religion be exalted and be everywhere increased and spread, that the health of souls may be cared for, and the barbarous nations be overthrown and brought to the faith itself. That's very interesting, because in one instance, you're saying that we want our faith and our religion to be exalted for the health of souls. But then in the next, you're talking about overthrowing barbarous nations. What is being said here is what the native called, and why the native called these people a people who spoke with a forked tongue. Because there are two parts of what they say. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan made reference to the term a dog whistle, meaning that there's always something that is said and then something else that is implied. A sort of hidden message, hidden from those who are not in the know, but obvious to those who are intended to hear it, like a dog whistle. If you're not a dog, you won't hear it, hopefully. But if you're a dog, you can hear it because it's in the pitch, it's in the tone that you're able to discern the sound where other species may not. So when they discovered this part, this that was called the doctrine of discovery, it became the basis of all European claims in the Americas, as well as the foundation for the United States Western expansion. And it was even supported by the U.S. Supreme Court. It said that the principle of discovery gave European nations an absolute right to New World lands. In essence, American Indians had only a right of occupancy which could be abolished. This is why when you look at what is called the native people of the Americas, the Indians, you don't see them on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, most of our young people think that Indians are extinct. They think there's something of the past that no longer exists because they've all but been written out of history as a footnote, and those who still exist have been pushed on to reservations to live under the rule of the conquerors and oppressors. This attitude from 1493 continues to today. In fact, it has governed the actions of Caucasian people, shaped their systems, and permeates from every part of their society. They do not see us as one, though they claim to know Christ, though they came with a symbol and emblem which they claim represents Christ. But they see themselves as better, superior, and their true desire is to ensure that their position, in contrast to the darker people, is one where they lord over us, not one of equality and brotherhood.